Recent world-changing disruptions have driven schools and education stakeholders to find ways to elevate the teaching and learning experience. To survive and thrive in these challenging times, educators need to step up with the right tools and acquire the mindset of resilience. Bring your school to the next level with C.O.N.G.R.E.S S. As the leading educational resource provider in the Philippines, DIWA Learning Systems Incorporated has been helping schools create boundless teaching and learning environments through printed K-12 textbooks and magazines, and digital resources like C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning, the country's pioneer learning management system. C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning is a fully integrated e-learning platform that takes teaching and learning to the next level. With rich curriculum-based content, a responsive support system, and a dynamic implementation program. Through C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning, teachers and students can access ready-made resources for lectures, discussions, and self-paced learning experiences. And they can take advantage of the different system tools tailored to meet their ever-changing needs and demands. Schools need to be creative in reimagining their teaching and learning environment to ensure education continuity. Whether for distance learning or face-to-face classes, C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning enables teachers to continue engaging with their students, whatever the circumstance. It allows teachers to design new and authentic learning opportunities that bring out students' creativity and recreate physical learning experiences through unique activities such as virtual field trips and virtual science fairs, among others. With C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning, schools can continue to provide quality education anytime, anywhere. For any school, collaboration among teachers, students, parents, and education partners is key to the success of learning continuity. C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning creates programs that build communities, whether for face-to-face or online learning environments. From providing avenues for school leaders to learn together and share their own experiences, to facilitating webinars for parents and students, and instilling responsible behavior in a digital space. C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning assures schools that they are supported so they can thrive under any circumstance. Since 2006, C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning has been empowering schools to manage technological disruptions in education by providing training programs, customizable solutions, and solid after-sales support. From the introduction of blended learning for 21st century learners to addressing the issue of equity by providing a premise-based platform to those with limited internet connectivity. C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning works with schools to assess online learning readiness and implementation so that they can innovate and adapt more quickly to change. Whether it's transitioning to a purely online distance learning delivery mode or shifting to hybrid learning upon the resumption of face-to-face classes. Our mission at C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning is to make it possible for schools to work with a credible partner, creatively turn obstacles into triumphs, provide opportunities for collaboration, and embrace change courageously. This is Next Level Education. Together, let's prepare our youth to be the leaders of the future. Start your next level education journey today with C.O.N.G.R.E.S Learning.
It's time for us with this to keep on sharing, putting things that we're doing, the best practices, not necessarily your your syllabus, but rather the actions that you take, because this is going to be for the benefit of young people.
Parents and teachers need to collab. It's not about forcing the environment of the classroom to the home. It's really about learning together.
People are all saying it's a connectivity issue. No, it is also a mindset issue. From just in the classroom, it will change the way you grade your students. It will change the way you give assignments. It will change the way you restructure your syllabus.
We have to make sure that we do not stick only to the curriculum that we have. We have to reinvent our classes. We need to teach our students on how to solve problems and make sure that they collaborate as teams. All they need to do is
A blessed afternoon to all the administrators, faculty, and students of the CEAP member schools all over the Philippines. I am Father John Christian Young, currently the president of Father Saturnino-Urius University, and I will be moderating this afternoon's session. As we start our session today, let me invite everyone for a short opening prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, we want to thank you for another wonderful day you have given to us, and for all the blessings you have showered into our lives. We thank you, Lord, that you have given us this opportunity to come together as one CEAP community to celebrate our lives as educators, and also to renew ourselves as we remember the vocation and mission that you have called us to. Be with our speakers as they share their time and knowledge with us on building a culture of quality in our schools. Grant them the wisdom of the Holy Spirit, and may your words of consolation, hope, and encouragement be shared through them. We continue to keep in mind our fellow brothers, our brothers and sisters who are struggling through this pandemic. Grant us the grace to have deep compassion for those who are most in need and to respond generously to their needs. For our frontline workers, protect them and keep them safe through this pandemic. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good afternoon once again. For those who just tuned in with us, I want to welcome you to the third and last learning session for today, the third day of the CEAP Congress, and it is entitled Promoting Quality Culture in Catholic Educational Institutions. We are live both on the CEAP Facebook page and the CEAP channel on YouTube. Feel free to continue sharing this to your fellow teachers and administrators so that they can join in and listen. Allow me first to give you some reminders. First, you only need to attend one session for each day. Day 3 today and day 4 tomorrow. To get a certificate for the whole Congress, submit an evaluation form for one session each day and a general evaluation form at the end of the conference, which will be posted after the closing Mass. Again, you only have to submit a total of 3 evaluation forms to get a certificate. One evaluation form for one session each for day 3 and day 4, and another general one for the whole Congress. The evaluation forms will be available at the end of each learning session and will be up until 7 p.m. of the same day. The evaluation link will be posted in the comments section of the video both on YouTube and Facebook. And you can also find it at the program section of the CEAP Congress virtual hall at congress.ceap.org.ph. All the videos of the different sessions will be saved in the videos section of our official Facebook page and in our YouTube CEAP channel. If you miss out a session, you can just go to these sites to view them again. Second, as the discussion is ongoing, we encourage you to post your questions or comments at the comment section on Facebook and YouTube, and we will ask these questions or read the comments during the Q&A portion. Lastly, we encourage you to share this webinar to your networks with the hashtags #CEAP CARES. Okay, let's go straight into our panel discussion. As mentioned in the webinar title, today we'll be talking about how to promote and build a quality culture within our schools, especially during this time of pandemic. How do we pursue and ensure quality education given our limitations? What are the common challenges and pitfalls in pursuing quality assurance? And how can this be addressed? How do we develop this culture amongst our staff and administrators? To give us their insights on this very important topic, we have invited a panel coming from different schools and backgrounds who will also take different lenses in discussing the topic. Let me now introduce them. Serving as a part of our panel today is Dr. Clarita D. Carrillo, currently the Assistant to Director for Planning and Quality Management of the University of Santo Tomas, as well as the Lead Assessor in the ASEAN University Network Quality Assurance. She will be giving a perspective of a big congregational school, as well as an international perspective. Our second panelist is Dr. Amado J. Estonilio III, currently the Vice President for Academic Affairs and Research of the College of the Immaculate Conception, Cabanatuan, who will give a perspective of a diocesan school. Our third panelist is Dr. Arlene M. Floretta, currently the Dean of the Teacher Education Program in Father Saturnino Urius University. She will give her perspectives from the lens of a diocesan university. Arlene. Our fourth panelist is Dr. Dennis V. Madrigal, who serves as the Dean of Recoletos de Bacolod Graduate School, University of Negros Occidental, Recoletos, who will be giving his perspectives on quality assurance with the lens of someone who has done research on PCSS. Last but not least, our fifth panelist is Dr. Joanne Y. Solomon, who serves as the Vice President for Academics, as well as the Institutional Quality Assurance Officer for the University of the Immaculate Conception, who will share her perspective from the lens of a congregational school and also as someone who has helped roll out PCSS in the school system. Let us all give our panelists a warm welcome. Thank you, everyone, for giving your time to share your thoughts and insights on promoting quality culture in our schools. To start our conversation and also for you to share your initial thoughts on this topic, I want to ask each of you to answer this question. How does quality culture advance the Catholic higher educational institution status not only as a university, but also as a Catholic institution? How does quality culture advance the Catholic higher educational institution's status not only as a university, but as a Catholic institution as well? Let us start with Dr. Carillo. Dr. Clarita.
Good afternoon. As mentioned earlier, we are here to give our perspectives based also on the nature of the institutions where we come from. So I am supposed to share perspectives that represent a big congregational institution as well as an international perspective. As a backgrounder, therefore, I come from an institution that is under the Dominican order, and UST has an average population of about 45,000 students, 2,000 plus minus academic staff, and 600 support staff. We offer 21 tertiary level units and 3 basic education units. And we have 63 undergraduate programs and 40 graduate programs. So I'm sure the others are also already familiar that our international perspective or the lessons that we learned from different international undertakings will be called from the program and institutional assessments that we do under the Asian University Network, as well as the initiatives of our different programs also to undergo certifications that are specific to their discipline. So, for example, for engineering, we have ABET. For tourism and hospitality, we have THE. For occupational therapy, we have the WFOT and so on. Now, coming from the background that I therefore mentioned, so how does quality culture advance the Catholic higher educational institution status, not only as an academic institution, but particularly as a Catholic institution? I think one very important concept here is to first understand that quality culture would refer to the shared beliefs and values that guide the pursuit of continuous quality improvement, or what we call in quality assurance as CQI. Therefore, quality culture does not and cannot happen overnight. It takes time to cultivate shared beliefs and values among the members of your community, among the different stakeholders of an institution. In many cases, it requires that one establishes also a quality management system and implement and maintain and sustain quality assurance mechanisms. So realistically, an institution will have to go through different stages. Okay? The first usual stage is what we call compliance. And then hopefully from that compliance stage, we advance into the commitment stage. And finally, we hope that we reach what we call as the culture stage. Okay? So in whatever stage that we might find our institutions in the pursuit of continuous quality improvement, okay, I think we can advance the status of the different institutions as a Catholic institution in at least 3 points. So allow me to just call them the ABC. A will refer to the alignment of the learning outcomes or the graduate attributes with the mission vision of the institution. And this is integral to all established quality standards and criteria. Whether it's accreditation, it's audit, or it's assessment, we have observed that the rest of the quality indicators are all supposed to be measured on how they contribute to the mission vision which was defined or determined by the school itself. So the mission vision is not something imposed by any quality assurance entity or agency. It is always something initiated by the school itself. So we notice, let's say for accreditation, area 1 is on purpose and objectives as defined by the institution. For ISO audit, it is the clause on the context of the organization. For AU and QA, criterion 1 is always on the formulation of learning outcomes that are aligned with the mission vision set by the university. What we realize, therefore, is that quality culture will have to start from a clear definition of our mission vision as a Catholic institution before we can proceed with any other undertaking or initiative. So based on the purpose of our institution, what learning outcomes or graduate attributes define our students or our graduates? What learning outcomes support the so-called Catholic identity and the faith formation that underlies Catholic education? Many of the QA concepts or quality assurance concepts that we know now and which we apply in our academic institutions actually originate from business concepts. Now, in the business sense, when we speak of quality, it is measured on how a product meets and better yet exceeds customer satisfaction or stakeholder satisfaction. If we try to draw a parallelism for the academic setting, therefore, or for quality or for Catholic institutions, quality can be determined by how our graduates demonstrate professional and personal characteristics that demonstrate a Catholic identity and the outcomes of the faith formation that they underwent. For instance, there are so many institutions and Catholic schools that offer education programs or teacher training programs. But obviously, we face now very strong competition with the SUCs, with the state universities and colleges, because they are able to offer these programs for free. Now, if the SUCs are able to ensure that their graduates can also pass the licensure examination for teachers, they can prepare teachers that are good at teaching strategies and student assessment. They have graduates who have, in fact, done who have gained initial experiences on doing action researches. Our question will be, what value addition does a Catholic institution now offer to justify having to charge tuition fees for education programs, when one can get all these competencies under a free tuition scheme, and with minimum other expenses? So in other words, the critical quality assurance question that needs to be asked is, what makes the product of a Catholic institution stand out? How does a school's quality culture make a difference as evidenced by its graduates? So it's very important that there is an alignment of whatever graduate attributes are desired and the mission vision that has been defined by the institution. Letter B is benchmarking. In QA, we always say benchmarking is now key because, especially with limited resources, at times, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we can always learn from what others are already doing. Okay? So it's an accepted principle for continuous quality improvement. Now, I am referring here to what we call practice benchmarking, since performance benchmarking is, I think, already contained and addressed by the PCSS. Okay? The PCSS for basic education is a document that is supposed to be designed for the collective reflection of Catholic institutions, right? And it is a very good starting point on harmonizing already the expectations on Catholic institutions in the country. It has carefully determined at least 8 defining characteristics of Catholic education. It has also enumerated or identified the common performance benchmarks. So, but basically, if we look at the benchmarks and the standards contained therein, this will refer now to what we call input if we use the CIPP program evaluation model, or the context, input, process, product. That's why we call it CIPP.
Dr.
model.
Carillo, sorry po.
Yes.
Sorry. May Ann, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
We have a problem po in Facebook. We've been cut by Facebook, May Ann.
Because?
Yeah. May lumabas sabing message, meron daw tayong copyright issue. We've been, in-stop nila yung broadcast. I'm guessing now it's because of our sponsor videos. Hold on, we need to restart para maka-rebroadcast tayo. Hold on po.
Sige.
It's a first time that it happened to us.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, magpapalagay ako ng message sa ano. Sige.
So to resume, we are very sorry. I think we had a technical glitch. So as I was saying, after letter A, which is the alignment of the learning outcomes or the graduate attributes with the mission vision of our institution, letter B now is benchmarking. And benchmarking is key for any quality assurance mechanism or quality assurance undertaking. Especially with the limitation in resources that we have, it is also very practical now that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we can always learn from other institutions and try to build from the best practices that they already have. Now, I am referring here to practice benchmarking as different from performance benchmarking, which we already find in the PCSS. The PCSS for basic education is a document that's supposed to be designed for our collective reflection as Catholic institutions. And it's a very good starting point in order to harmonize the expectations about Catholic institutions. It has carefully determined the 8 defining characteristics of a Catholic education. It has also enumerated to us the common performance benchmarks. If we look at the benchmarks, we would be able to observe now that the design of the document is clearly from the perspective of what a school must do or what a school must provide or implement. So if we look at if we use the CIPP model or the context, input, process, product, program evaluation model, the standards that we find there would already give us now the input or the processes that we need to do, okay, in order to meet the standards that were set. A further step now that can be done prospectively, okay, since we already have this particular document, is perhaps to do what we call globally now as the backward design. The backward design has been popularized by the outcomes-based education, where we now start with the end in view. So any plan that we do now starts with the end that we want to achieve. So in the case of Catholic institutions, that will be what are the graduate attributes that we want to find in all our students or graduates at the end of their schooling with us. Okay? So what qualities should they demonstrate? And from determining now those attributes, we go backward to design the learning environment, to design the curriculum, to determine all the other inputs and processes that will be necessary. So the advantage of what we call the backward design this time, it is that it allows a very clear alignment of what we intend to do, what we intend to have as our product, and what are the processes and inputs that we therefore need in order to achieve that desired product. So, for instance, for any graduate of a Catholic institution, I think we can expect that there should be that quality to possess respect for human dignity, right? Regardless of, let's say, religion, gender, age, or etc. This quality now indicates a learning outcome that we desire. If we want to go backward now, so we don't have to start from scratch, we can go back to our PCSS and now start identifying of the different inputs and processes and standards that we place there, which ones now will contribute to this particular learning outcome. When we were all given a copy of the PCSS, and when I tried to just take a quick look at the document, I saw, for example, that there are standards 2 on faith formation, 8 on curriculum, 11 on conducive learning environment, and 13, which is on the opportunity to encounter varied worldviews, which can all correspond to the learning outcome, which is to develop the respect for human dignity. And this will now represent all the processes and inputs as performance benchmarks for implementation by the schools. On the other hand, practice benchmarking now can consider looking at what are the Catholic schools right now that can claim or that are known to have graduates that clearly and strongly demonstrate the attribute. Okay? And then from there, we can proceed to examine what exactly are these schools doing that enable them to successfully develop these qualities among their students and the graduates that they have. Okay? So it's not simply now the input of the schools, but we can now start looking at the practices that yield the desired results. Okay? Now, all QA mechanisms that we have encountered always emphasize the importance of feedback. We all have graduate studies or alumni tracer studies, perhaps because it's a requirement for accreditation and etc. Sometimes it's because we want to be able to network better with our alumni. But one thing that we notice is that the common contents of alumni tracer studies nowadays are simply contact information about our graduates. Where are they placed right now? What positions are they holding? Sometimes even how much or the salary range that they have, because it's supposed to reveal also whether we're able to develop their soft skills, etc. Perhaps alumni tracer studies can also now start to look into the impact of the Catholic education that they received or that they got in on the present lives of the alumni. So, for example, we can start trying to look at how the Catholic formation influenced their current views and stand on various social issues, or how their Catholic education impact to them as parents with regard to child rearing practices and beliefs, or how Catholic teachings manifest in their choices as informed voters, which is very relevant. And let's say how Catholic education affect their concepts of what quality life is. Because we know that there are certain standards set by society, certain status symbols that they require. But are these the same measures that we have as Catholic schools in order to call life as quality life? So this can be the other components of our graduate tracer studies, so that we can see whether we do achieve any impact on the lives of the students. Now, lastly, I'm sorry if this is taking long. You know, we are very old as an institution, so perhaps I'm just excited to be sharing a lot of the lessons over the centuries. So, but lastly is letter C. And C would refer now to credibility or being a trusted brand, okay, in delivering stakeholders' needs and expectations. Parents always have their reasons why they would prefer to send their children to, let's say, Catholic institutions. They have their expectations, or they have identified certain needs which they think will be met only by a Catholic school or institution. So we need to be credible that if they send our children to us, by the time that we send them out, we were able to meet those expectations. Once we are able to establish our being a trusted brand, no? In very practical terms, it easily improves our market share, which in turn can also lead to Catholic schools being able to achieve a wider reach to evangelize and to cascade its mission vision, or to promote its charism, okay, as a congregation. Because no matter how beautiful our mission vision is in our schools, if we don't have enrollees, so how can we have impact on the lives of others? How can we promote our mission vision? So this is the practical side. If we are able to maintain our reputation, our credibility to deliver what is expected of us, then enrollees now will follow. So Catholic schools, I think, would need to prove that there is value addition. Okay? That nowadays, that there is a difference between what we can call as quality education and what we can call quality Catholic education. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clarita. That was quite substantial, no? And as you said, UST is a very old institution. It's the first university in the Philippines. So, speaking from that experience, no? Let us now go then to the initial thoughts of Dr. Amado. Dr. Amado.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to share some of my insights on quality culture And then most especially, thank you for the opportunity to learn from my fellow panel members. I already learned something from Dr. Carrillo, the ABCs of quality culture that was very insightful. Thank you, Dr. Carrillo. In comparison to UST, the school that I represent is smaller in enrollment and perhaps in budget. But we are now going to celebrate our 95th founding anniversary. And I would like to say siguro na we are embracing in strides quality culture here at the College of the Immaculate Conception. So allow me to share with you some of my insights about the promotion of quality culture coming from the perspective of a small diocesan school. My insights about advancing or promoting quality culture in educational institutions revolve around three dimensions. First, the promotion of quality or the development of quality culture will always be connected to the Japanese business philosophy called Kaizen. Kaizen focuses on gradual improvement for productivity, for satisfaction, but it also calls for a collaboration among the various stakeholders. On that note, the promotion of quality is holistic. It involves many aspects. That's why perhaps the term total quality management was coined, or otherwise known as TQM. This means that quality is not only expected from one area, from one office, or from one department. For example, when we engage on online distance learning because of the pandemic, we were forced to improve on the use of our software. Perhaps some schools have invested on learning management systems. But to couple with that, we must also improve the quality of our hardware. Those two go hand in hand. One cannot exist without the other. Therefore, if educational institutions are to embrace the culture of quality, they must also be mindful of the philosophy and the practice of Kaizen. Promoting quality culture is embracing changes for the better, for continuous improvement, and it must be done in totality, not by a piecemeal or partial approach. Second, achieving or maintaining quality culture does not happen over a short period of time. There are no shortcuts in forming quality culture. The process is rather rigorous. Quality is something that you strive for, which will result rather to competence and credibility, as was mentioned by the previous speaker. My third insight about quality culture is aligned with the idea of Bishop C.O.N.G.R.E.S.S about quality education, which he mentioned during his keynote address yesterday. He said, it is not quality education. It is quality education with the touch of God. In saying that, I think Bishop Charlie left us with something to reflect on as Catholic schools and as schools embracing quality education, especially for us in the academy striving to maintain and attain the quality, the culture of quality. I guess from a theological viewpoint, quality culture is putting God in the culture and in the center of our school. Sometimes in our quest for quality culture, we are caught up with the big ideas, accreditation, internationalization, globalization. But Bishop Inzon reminds us that quality education with the touch of God means providing God experience to our stakeholders, especially to our learners. And as a Catholic school, as a small diocesan Catholic school, we put our learners first in front of us and providing them that experience of God in all the things that we do. This is why when we refer to the PCSS, the domain on learning environment, it speaks about a faith-filled learning environment conducive primarily for spiritual growth. Our school's engagement to attain quality must emanate from that environment. So coming from this perspective of a diocesan school in the province, quality is part of our mission, aligned with our mission and vision and our core values. And quality is also something that we achieve and we dream for our graduates. That's why in our graduate attributes, we assure that in everything that the school does, in all the programs, whether it is academic or a non-academic, we ensure that our learners, our primary stakeholders, will assure a quality education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amado. You bring out the aspect of quality, total quality. Yeah. The quality should not be limited to one aspect or sector of the institution. Let's now go to the insights of Dr. Arlene Floreta. Your initial insights and your answer to the question on how does quality culture advance the Catholic higher educational institution status, not only as a university or college, but as a Catholic institution as well. Dr. Arlene?
Greetings. My respect to the CEAP Board of Trustees, officers, and the organizing team of this session, my fellow panelists, fellow Catholic educators joining us through the live stream. Maayong hapon, good afternoon to all of us. So I'm Arlene Floreta and I am the Dean of Teacher Education Program of FSUU. As you may know, FSUU is located in Butuan City, Caraga region, one of the depressed regions in the Philippines. To me, quality culture is a motto to live by. It is, as it were, a challenge even before this pandemic was imagined. More so challenging when we speak of Catholic institution, which is expected to live out not only of outcomes that are market-driven, but also of character hinged on its nature as an institution of learning grounded on gospel values and social teachings. Quality culture is a demonstration of shared and sustained good practices of an institution. It includes, but not limited to, compliance to regulations, accreditation, certification, and achieving standards that are set. And these are already mentioned by my fellow panelists earlier. So I thank Dr. Carrillo and Dr. Amado for advancing it. So to me, quality culture is a mindset that is supposed to be embraced by each member of the organization to do what is best for our students. Thus, it requires that a shared value and understanding of what we believe in rest in every member's mind and heart. It therefore necessitates a good sense of direction from the administrators, commitment by its members, and support from its stakeholders. It is therefore an environment where quality is supposed to be a way of life. By saying it's a way of life, that each member of the community plays the role in keeping in mind what is supposed to be done, keeping in mind our vision, keeping our role as a Catholic institution in a particular context. To me, the pandemic is really an acid test of quality culture. Perhaps there were best practices that we had, and right now, it's already challenged because of the reality of the present. I should say it is very difficult to speak of quality culture now that we have just shifted to new practices in order to adapt and thrive. Nevertheless, I am optimistic that what has been rooted by principle can in a way be redesigned in this new context so that we will still be keeping in pace in our pursuit for quality culture. To think how quality culture can advance our status as a Catholic higher education brings me to reflect on who we are as Catholic institutions. What are our distinctive characteristics as institutions entrenched with Catholic intellectual tradition? What sets us apart from the other higher education institutions which are non-Catholics? As Dr. Carilli was saying, if the SUCs will be able to let their students pass licensure examinations, then what will be our value addition so that it justifies uh, us charging high tuitions, of course, higher than SUCs because they are free. So this brings me to think that quality culture includes an ongoing assessment of our curriculum, which is expected to be infused with Catholic values that are really taught, experienced, and demonstrated. I think that shares with the thought of Dr. Carilli earlier on trying to fulfill certain outcomes that are set for the institution, not only benchmark from the industries, but really that something that really separates us from really being Catholic. No, so I think every institution, every Catholic institution has desired institutional graduate attributes. So we really try to keep those in mind as we look at our curriculum. I think we can also ask, how are our Catholic values of human dignity, service, social justice, value for the family, care for creation, permeate in the daily experiences of school life? So I think if we include this in our consciousness as we think of quality culture over and above the standardization process, then I believe it will not only advance us as market-sensitive institutions of learning, but really put us closer to being mission-driven institutions. I could not help, but I would like to quote from Ex-Corde Ecclesia. It says, every Catholic university feels responsible to contribute concretely to the progress of the society within which it works. I think this speaks of presence as presence. That through the kind of practices that we have, that will result to the formation of value-laden citizens, is a gift to the society in which we operate. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arlene. You bring out the point of the pandemic as, in a way, changing the ball game. No, since the pandemic disrupted a lot of the best practices that are in place already, which we developed over the years. It's as if there's a reboot, and we now have to, in a way, relearn and learn from each other on how to assure quality again in this present situation. And I'm aware, of course, that for example, in one of the accrediting agencies, we're really trying hard to go about quality assurance in the light of no face-to-face meetings and all that. No, so it's really a challenge for many institutions. Now let's go to the next panelist, Dr. Dennis. Dr. Dennis, your thoughts, please.
Good afternoon, everyone, especially to my co-panelists in this panel discussion. Foremost, I would like to thank CEAP for the invitation to be part of this panel to discuss something on quality culture in Catholic higher educational institutions. I came from a network of Augustinian Recollect schools in the Philippines, and I am currently connected now with the University of Negros Occidental Recoletos in Bacolod City, and I am the Dean of the Recoletos de Bacolod Graduate School. My experience will be will be more on a researcher who conducts studies in relative to the Philippine Catholic school standards. And my experience also as a 20 years in the religious education, integral formation of our students, in the undergraduate level will enrich my sharing this afternoon. So how does quality culture advance Catholic higher educational institution status, not as only as a university, but as Catholic institution? I believe, before we can talk about quality culture, there is a need, to go back to the nature of Catholic school, the mission of Catholic education. Pope John Paul II, emphasized that Catholic school is an evangelical center and a place of integral formation, in which the Catholic school, the members of the academic community participate directly and in a privileged way in the evangelizing mission of the church. Its premier work is to enhance and implement academic, co-curricular, faith formation, and ministry programs to teach children holistically in conformity with our Catholic faith and Catholic doctrine. Hence, Catholic school is instrumental to the mission of evangelization for human and social transformation for all who desire a Catholic education. And I think it is in this context that promoting quality culture, quality assurance is vital in the advancement of Catholic higher educational institution status, in which through quality assurance, promoting the quality of culture in Catholic school will introduce change, development, and innovation, in which these three important things, to change, development, and innovation, can be part of that process of continuous quality improvement, as Dr. Carillo has mentioned, in which all the members of the academic community participate so that Catholic schools operate truthfully, faithfully, efficiently, effectively to its core vision, mission, goals, and objectives as they try to respond to the needs of the church and the society in the local and global context. Quality assurance in this context will help clarify as well as strengthen the cultural or psychological elements of the academic community, particularly our shared values and beliefs, expectations, and commitment as members of the community to the fulfillment of that mission of the Catholic school, as well as to the structural and managerial element which define the process that is actually going on in Catholic school to enhance the quality Catholic education we aim to provide for our clients. Having done research, on Philippine Catholic school standards, I believe PCSS provides that quality assurance framework, which can facilitate the alignment of Catholic schools' educational objectives, practices, and curricula in accordance with the principles and directions of the Catholic Church to determine the quality of Catholic education. So in response to the challenges of the 21st century Catholic education in the Philippines, PCSS provides some kind of a roadmap for the future of the Philippine Catholic school. In fact, the document lists and describes 5 domains, 15 standards, 62 benchmarks and rubrics in which Catholic schools all over the Philippines can gauge themselves in terms of how they are faring, in terms of their providing that quality Catholic education to their clients, whether they are big or small schools. In fact, the domains, which includes Catholic identity and mission, leadership and governance, learner development, learning environment, and operational vitality, are rich principles, for that matter, some kind of guidelines in which the Catholic school more or less can see whether they are really fulfilling that mission inherent to their existence as Catholic school. I think attached to the quality assurance practices, initiatives of the Catholic school, there is a need to look into these areas, these domains, set by the Philippine Catholic school standards, so that in a way the Catholic school can see where they can improve more in terms of their delivery of Catholic education to where they are situated in the Philippine context. I think that's all that I can share in terms of promoting quality culture in advancing Catholic higher education institutions.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dennis, for bringing out the PCSS as a guide and tool to promoting quality education. So let's now go on to Dr. Joanne for her thoughts on quality education.
Good afternoon. Praise be Jesus and Mary. What I will be sharing is a perspective from a school managed by the Religious of the Virgin Mary. The quality assurance understanding of the university focuses on creating a healthy environment for the satisfaction of our students and stakeholders. As a Catholic higher education institutions, the Quality Assurance Initiative started by establishing a standard set of beliefs, values, and behavior that guided the institutions to improve practices and procedures in the work environment. The established systems, policies, and guidelines help the school to improve performance. The system served as a sound basis for sustainable development initiative. The university adopted the quality assurance system called the RBM Quality Roadmap. The RBM Quality Roadmap is a quality initiative of the Education Ministry Commission to lead the entire RBM school community in pursuing standards of quality over and above the minimum required by the government agencies. It serves as a guide to begin, maintain, sustain, and continually improve schools' quality assurance system. Each activity in a quality environment is done with best efforts, timeliness, and within prescribed standards. It was designed to bring about good results. The RBM Quality Roadmap follows the following phases. 1. Commitment to travel the road to quality. That is, management must demonstrate its commitment to building a quality culture in the organization. Second, it is about converting organizational goals into a personal goal through employee involvement and engagement in the RBM Quality Roadmap. It is a simple technique, but powerful when creating a quality culture. Third, it ensures that policies and procedures are aligned with standards, processes, and procedures. Fourth, regular internal audit to monitor the sustenance and maintenance of the quality management system. And the last is about the continual management of data for improvement. The RBM Quality Roadmap assisted the university in its effort of producing quality graduates vis-a-vis quality transformative Ignatian Marian education by consistently implementing processes, procedures, and protocols. It is also about qualitative change, about doing something for the student. The RBM Quality Roadmap paved the way for the institution to venture to ISO certification. It also facilitated the PASCO program and institutional accreditation maintenance and simplified the preparation of the university for the AUNQA assessment. And lastly, I do believe that promoting quality culture in Catholic higher education is essential since it helps improve efficiency, resulting in better performance and increased customer satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joanne. Our panelists really brought out different aspects. No, it was a very this was just initial thoughts, and already many points and many aspects emerge, no, in promoting quality culture in Catholic educations, no, educational institutions. Let's now go to the second question, and this time we will just have any one of you, no, just raise your hands, perhaps, if you want to answer the question. And it is this, no. It is a question that is often asked when school embarks on the journey of quality, building a quality culture. Which approach do you believe would ensure success in achieving quality culture? An approach that emanates from the top, or one that commences from the bottom, or from below, or from the base? So anyone? Dr. Joan. Dr. Solomon.
Yes. Achieving a quality culture shall emanate from the top management. It shall start with leadership that understands the implication of the system and the importance of satisfying customer needs to succeed. On one end, a strong leadership and governance will help establish a quality culture. The leader is responsible for setting the strategic direction, culture, and purposes to follow. It has to be included in the management plan for its effective implementation. Top management will send the message to employees that quality is key to success at an organization. Committed leadership is instrumental in creating a quality culture. So when leaders lead by example, like being engaged, supportive, and dedicated, these qualities will be passed down and emulated by the institution members. On the other end, school system like the RVM congregation, the UCSAN, and the like may also establish a quality culture by creating systematic processes and monitoring practices. A school system provides a standard of operation in ensuring quality support is provided to the students, teachers, and the school in the context of quality management system. The bottom line is it takes a commitment from top management, then the middle management, first line management, and operative employees to initiate and sustain such a movement and achieve its benefits. A flat structure helps empower employees and drive them to quality initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joan. So, Dr. Joan, for you, it's you emphasize the importance of leadership, and so parang it is from the top, no, from the top. So, anyone else? Do you agree? Dr. Clarita.
Okay, so the question is which approach? Which approach, right? I think based on our experience, yes, I would agree also that it's a top to bottom, but it does not end there. It has to be a top to bottom and bottom up approach. So the approach cannot be unidirectional. I think the practical side of the top to bottom direction is that developing the quality culture will require policy formulation. It will require the commitment of resources. Okay? It will require at times establishment of structures, okay, of management systems. And all these are actually the call of top management. It's also possible that ideas or suggestions may be initiated by mid or bottom management by mid or bottom managerial levels. However, ultimately, their suggestions, their initiatives will have to be accepted, approved, and supported by top management in order for all these to fly. However, it cannot end there, that it's top to bottom, because for quality culture to really be established, there is a need to do consultative and participative engagement from the base. There has to be constant dialogue, and there should be feedback mechanisms from all the stakeholders and all the interested parties, so that any quality assurance initiative will be understood, they will be owned, and they will be implemented. So the bottom-up approach is something that will complete what we call as a PDCA approach to quality management. So we have plan, do, check, act, but specifically for check, where we need to get feedback, we need very much the bottom-up approach so that we can proceed with act, which is now the part or the stage where we need to introduce improvements in whatever it is that we're doing. And then it goes back to plan, which is usually now top management again, and then it continues as a cycle. Okay, thank you.
So thank you very much, Dr. Clarita. So Dr. Clarita agrees that with Dr. Joanne, no, that leadership is important. That at least the initiating of having a quality culture comes from the top because it entails alignment of policy and all that. But that also in feedback from the bottom is important. No, so it's like a cycle. Then it becomes a cycle to ensure quality. No, so there are two already who said that it's from the top. How about
Father?
the other
Father?
panelists? No, anything?
Father?
Arlene? Si Arlene yung nag-hands up physically.
Thank
Physical hands.
you.
Okay.
Thank you, Father John. I share in the thoughts of Dr. Carillo and Dr. Solomon earlier. I believe in participatory leadership and solidarity among members of the learning community. But quality culture needs to consider several aspects of school life, like sustainability of financial and environmental resources, academic quality, safety and well-being of students and employees, equity and access for students, and relationship among parents and other stakeholders. So it takes a lot of leading and modeling to pursue quality culture. So I would see it good to be top-bottom type of leadership. On the other hand, I also came across of an article, although this comes from the business side, on creating a quality culture. This is by Srinivan and Curry. And in that research, they pinned 4 factors that drive quality, and these are leadership emphasis, message credibility, peer involvement, and employee ownership of quality issues. And they concluded that although culture of quality comes in different forms in different contexts, the first step in the process is really that managers must decide that a culture of quality is worth pursuing. So to me, once the top is convinced and is sending a message, modeling it, demonstrating it, then those in the middle and down the line, they will be inspired to follow. And I subscribe to that thought that when we say top bottom, we also need the bottom top, because even in that perspective that I just shared, it is very important that the employees would own it. And when I said earlier, quality culture should be embraced by everyone else, by every member in the community. So it is really very important that those people, like for example in a university, the teachers would subscribe to quality culture and that they will perform their roles as expected. No, they do not just keep in mind for example, the competencies that they need to develop, but they also keep in mind the other, for example, opportunities that they need to create for our students, so that we will be able to create or fulfill or achieve certain graduate attributes that we want our students to have after some time that they are with us. On one hand, when we draw the line top bottom, it shouldn't really be that straight, because we also need the feedback. And we believe that there are middle managers who also have the right characteristics, the right qualifications, the skills that could contribute to quality culture. I would like to share how we transitioned to the new normal last year, when of course we did not have that online distance learning. It was our first ever last year, and this is yet our second year. So the way we did it, we created a lot of ad hoc committees, and this is in line with distributed leadership style. When we created, the university created committees, putting people, the right people with right qualifications in a particular ad hoc committee to help us see through and plan through things as we move towards the new normal. And it really helped us a lot. So while the top management was overseeing us, those ad hoc committees, those people in the ad hoc committees also really did their best. So there's a committee for evaluation, there's a committee for instruction, there's a committee to look at design, how we will move into the new normal, so that we will not just be looking at or succumbing ourselves to just a hyper dumping of PDFs and videos as we go online. So the committee and the policies that the university created really helped so much in the transition as we move towards quality culture. And we are glad that this is our second year, but we are happy that we are improving. Although in the first year we had a lot of challenges, but we are so glad that those of us who keep in mind our roles are able to give some feedback, so that those feedback became our benchmarks to move forward. So that's my thought for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arlene. Before I go to Dr. Dennis for his thoughts on that, whether it's top bottom and bottom to top, I would like to remind the audience that if you have questions or comments, just type it into the comment section of Facebook or YouTube. So any questions and comments. And also, I was reminded by our director, Mary Ann Cruz, that please support CEAP by sending stars on FB. Send your stars. Okay, show your love, so to say. Okay, Dr. Dennis, is it top bottom or bottom top?
Okay, I agree with Dr. Carillo, Dr. Solomon, and Dr. Floreta. I think they have spoken very clearly the importance of two-way two-way factor in terms of establishing the culture of quality. When we were conducting studies, no researches on Philippine Catholic school standards, we interviewed some of the participants on how they appraise the implementation of the Philippine Catholic standards domains in their particular school. They would always tell us that it all depends on who are the administrators of the school. Parang depende sa nakaupo. That's why though I subscribe to the idea that it must be a two-way factor in the promoting and strengthening the quality of culture in Catholic school, I always believe that it should begin from the top, because effective leadership and clear expectation must be there. And for me, they are critical factors to begin with. No? Initiating a successful culture of quality requires clear goals and effective top and mid-level leadership. Yung sa taas, the school executives are expected to plan, monitor, assures, and improve the quality standards and the products in meeting these expectations. On the other hand, those at the bottom are supposed to be expected to help in the implementation of what has been expected. But at the same time, the process should not end there within the school. The collaboration also of other stakeholders of the school must also be ensured. Because the school does not only exist internally, the school exists also for those outside of the outside the confines of the institution. That's why all members or stakeholders of the school must be part of this process of continuous quality improvement of the school. I think that's my take, Father John.
Okay, thank you very much. No, so from your research, the many of those you interviewed say that it has to be initiated. I mean, I think we all agree on that by the leadership from the top, from the top, so to say. But it is also important that that there's feedback from the bottom to continually also improve the process, no? And to make acceptance and make it truly a culture. Of course, it's not a culture if it's only the top who's talking
Yes.
about quality. No, let's move to Dr. Amado, Dr. Gallo.
Yes, Father. I think there is a common understanding and belief among our panel members that quality culture would emanate from the top. Um, for me, as I experience it here in our school, that's very important. Not only because of policy making, but I think administrators and persons in authority must serve as a role model of a quality culture. For example, we cannot demand teachers to do research, to embrace the culture of research if administrators will not also engage in research. But I also subscribe to the fact that uh, the culture of quality can also emanate from the bottom. Uh, as I have experienced it here, our staff, for example, our those who do not hold administrative positions, even our teachers, they come to the institution full of skills, of talents and initiatives that would contribute to the culture of quality. So for me, it's both. It's both that when you are in the uh, administration part, you must also recognize the role of those who are in the bottom in terms of how they can contribute to the culture of quality. Quality culture is also important for the grassroots organization because from them, credibility and strength of the institution can also be anchored.
So thank you, Dr. Amado. Uh, so those who of us who are well, all of us here are in the leadership of our institution. So I suppose that we're putting pressure on ourselves to ensure that we have quality culture. No, Dr. Clarita, are you raising your hand? Do you have anything more to
Yes,
add?
yes,
Yeah.
Father. Yes, Father. If only to validate the responses of all the panelists. Okay. I would like to share that when the university underwent an institutional assessment under the Asian University Network Quality Assurance, um, whose instrument was also benchmarked against the different quality assurance agencies in different parts of the world. Okay, the self-assessment tool that they use, which will have to be applied by any institution, starts with the criterion on strategic quality assurance. And under this major criterion, all the sub-criteria try to reflect on the involvement, commitment, and actual participation of top management and its governing bodies in developing quality culture in an institution. Okay? So even the instrument shows that it is really very important that it starts, but it does not remain from the top management of an institution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, uh, those of us who are administrators, part of the leadership, we really need to get our act together. No, in many of our schools, and maybe I'll segue to the next question. In many of our schools, while I often hear from, especially the smaller Catholic schools, the parochial schools, I hear them say, even before the pandemic, many would tell me that, Father, really want to go into quality assurance, but it's very difficult for us, because we don't have resources, no, we don't have money, uh, uh, we don't have human resources, so to say. We have very few people. And then, of course, we know that PCSS was put out as an option, no, to also assure quality as Catholic educations, right? So, so given that quality assurance does need investment, no, in terms both in terms of financial resources and human resources. Uh, what are your thoughts on this? Is quality assurance, creating a quality culture, possible for those who are in like financial difficulties, a situation where many of our institutions, our schools find themselves in? So is it possible to create a culture of quality in schools that are struggling? No. So, and Dr. Dennis, yan.
I will start, Father. Relative to the previous question that we have shared, no, based on the findings of our study, in fact, Father, leadership and governance has been one of the lowest domains in the ranks of the five domains of the PCSS. That's why I can feel and I can understand and I can relate the sharing of the members of the panel that the leadership is of prime importance in the promotion and strengthening of culture of quality. But at the same time, the people down there should be involved, no, should be aware of where the university is leading to and what are the expectations from them, so that their involvement, no, must be properly directed. But on the question whether investment is needed, no, in assuring quality, no, further marginalized cash-strapped Catholic institution of learning, I always believe that there is no such thing as a free lunch. Catholic education, though, is a mission, it's an apostolate, it's a ministry, but to ensure, assure, promote, strengthen quality Catholic education, a considerable financial investment and human resource management are critical. And I think no PCSS elaborates on these essential elements in which Catholic institutions should invest in terms of enhancing, kung nandiyan na, i-ano na lang, strengthen yung quality. Because quality assurance will always have implicit costs. That's why I believe Catholic higher educational institutions need to pour in financial investment on human resource development, such as training of school personnel, because the school personnel are important resource of the institution. If we do not train properly our school personnel, we cannot expect that they can actually mobilize the quality of culture that we expect for our institution, as well as infrastructure and equipment. And now that we are in the new normal, I think we need to invest to technology to ensure what PCSS is talking about on learning environment and learner development. All of this will redound to financial resource capability of the Catholic higher educational institutions. Hence, collaboration, networking, resource mobilization, stakeholders' involvement are critical aspects in ensuring that quality, the culture of quality, is actually engaged, no, by an institution, wherein all stakeholders of the school pour in some kind of resources so that the small, no, those small Catholic school can also be can also engage, no, in ensuring quality Catholic education. The process is a continuous improvement of the system, which entails considerable financial investment. And I think Catholic school has to spare amounts, no, in order to be competitive. Kanina we were talking about the SOOCs are very attractive, providing very affordable education, but at the same time, quality. I think Catholic schools should also be moving to that direction so that we can be competitive also. That's my take, Father, for this particular question.
Thank you very much. Any any of the panelists would like to add to that or share? Dr. Amado?
Yes, Father. I'd like to resonate what Dr. Matrigal said when he said that there's no free lunch, and I would like to add that quality Catholic education or quality education in general is not cheap. In most cases, people will pay good money to receive good education. But I think small schools with small financial budget or small human resources should not suffer from cultivating or developing the culture of quality in their schools. In our diocese, if I may just share this with the group, with the panel, in our diocese, we have this culture of helping in collaboration with the other smaller schools, sharing our financial and human resources to the small schools. In effect, we are also sharing that spirit and that culture of quality, giving them a chance, despite of their financial burdens, despite of the lack of human resources. What big schools can offer, we provide them in the spirit of collegiality and collaboration. So I think budget is important, but it should not deter a school from improving, from developing, from creating that culture of quality.
So thank you very much, Dr. Amado. Anyone? Dr. Clarita?
Yes, I think I would agree with the earlier statements that quality has a price. However, more than anything, I think what appears expensive, relevant to quality assurance, is when we undergo external quality assurance, because this will be conducted by outside entities, and there will be annual membership fees, administrative charges involved. Sometimes we have to shoulder accommodation and transportation expenses. And then there's a need to comply with the different recommendations. And sometimes the recommendations will include now need to improve facilities, equipment, etc. So also that there's a certain faculty profile that is required, and this faculty profile entails a certain percentage of teachers with graduate degrees and so on. So in other words, undergoing external quality assurance can really pose a lot of expenses. Okay? However, if we're just talking of developing quality culture and seeking continuous quality improvement, I would agree with Dr. Estonilo that having limited resources should not prevent us from seeking CQI, because as an institution internally, we can always set up quality assurance mechanisms. This can be very basic, like having regular assessment and monitoring of the performance of our own students, our graduates, the competence of our academic and support staff, okay, and so on. So to a certain extent, it may not necessarily be the lack in cash, but the lack of clarity of purpose or creativity or resourcefulness that can pose more serious problems in trying to achieve quality culture. Because there are now different ways by which the resources may not necessarily come solely from the Catholic institution involved. So for example, for human resource development now, there are a lot of both national and international scholarships for faculty development. Okay, we have to take advantage of the fact that everyone wants to internationalize. So even the foreign universities, and they now give a lot of scholarships because that will improve their own profile in terms of incoming students in their programs. Then a good practice that we saw in Thailand among universities is that they create also agreements to share faculty expertise. So if they are now able to borrow from other universities if they want to now have more support for a particular discipline that they also offer. So they establish consortia so that they don't have to develop their own set, but they can now share sets of academic staff, okay, to enrich the different disciplines. For physical structures, for example, we should know whom to approach. I mean, there are a lot of companies now that want to help educational institutions because it's part of their CSR, and because also in practical terms, because of some tax incentives that they get if they try now to support educational institutions. So one can also always explore one's network of alumni. And finally, I think a Catholic institution that recognizes its own limitations should be able to define, therefore, its own niche. I mean, do not be, if other schools are already good in a particular area or discipline, then one can try to create one's own niche and try to excel on that. And that niche may not necessarily be capital intensive. It may not be necessarily in the sciences that will require sophisticated laboratories. We know of some HEIs, for example, that they would focus on developing, let's say, on gender studies, or they would focus on environment studies. And some of these disciplines may not necessarily require, therefore, very advanced facilities, but it's more of human resources that will be needed. So I think I would like to go back to my earlier thesis statement that it also boils down to how we define quality. Okay? It boils down to how we define. Because I remember I had a student who posted on his Facebook account a statement that he heard from one of the speakers in a seminar that he attended. I think he quoted from Father Francis Gustilo, SDB. In the seminar, Father apparently asked, ano ba ang bragging rights ng mga Catholic schools ngayon? Championships? Number 1 ba sa ganito, sa ganyan? Ako, mas gugustuhin ko ang bragging rights. Lahat ng grade 12 sa Catholic schools, katekista. So that might be one interpretation of quality that a Catholic school might adopt. So I may not excel in this, let's say, science area, but quality comes in terms of the kind of graduate that we have, okay, and how they contribute to evangelization and to the mission of the church.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Clarita. No, that was a very rich comment, no, and insightful. Your comments are also echoed by one of the comments from Lito Rosales. No, he says, my take on this topic about the culture of quality is, despite an institutions being poor, as long as the people have the correct mindset or attitude, quality is still achievable. So, Dr. Clarita brings out the aspect now that what is really expensive is the external quality assurance now when you engage other agencies, no, ISO, PASCO, and other external quality assurance frameworks, no? And that's very expensive. But I suppose if the school has a clarity of purpose, as Dr. Clarita emphasizes, and it's clear about the need, no, for culture of quality, then it is possible. No, it can be as was brought out also by the other panelists. If our if we do have in our systems constant feedback, checking, supervision, etc., then the culture of quality is possible. It meaning it doesn't have to be expensive. It really depends on how you define quality, right? How you you define quality. Many of our Catholic HEIs, no, this is a session on for our HEIs, no. Many are very dependent or are under pressure because there are SUCs nearby. And while we would like to have our own niche, the SUCs very often, no, it is true in our area, also offer the same courses that we have been offering, that we have taken years to develop and to build up, and suddenly they just offer it and it's free, and sometimes they even poach our faculty because they have better pay, you know. So in this context, then one could argue that all the more we need to emphasize quality, and I think it was mentioned by many of you that then therefore we have to look at what's the difference, no, our graduate attributes, no, our product, so to say. What's the value addition between one who goes to a Catholic school and one who does not go to a Catholic school? And of course, part of that is really the component of quality. So perhaps given the reality that many of our Catholic HEIs are under financial stress, and that they are also finding themselves in competition, no, with the SUCs, how then, what are your thoughts on approaching this context of greater difficulty? There's a pandemic. It looks like it's, no, we are starting limited face-to-face classes already for some of us. No, there's light at the end of the tunnel, but we're all struggling with issues of quality and also with external factors like SUC free education, no, and the lack of complementarity between SUCs and private Catholic institutions. So, in this context, then, what would your recommendations be as to the navigation in this context, no, in terms of quality? Anyone? It is related to the question on those who have the financial difficulty, no, in for institutions that will, isn't there a marginalization when we speak of quality and there's expense, and we more or less we're saying that quality doesn't have to be expensive. What is important is that we want to create a culture of quality, and we start within our own context, no. But given that there's a lot of pressure externally, this I suppose a difficult question. Given that there's pressure, especially from SUCs, and especially since there's a pandemic, and many of our client families, no, or many of our students are finding themselves also in financial difficulty, especially the entrepreneurs. How then do we find a balance, no? Because I'm sure most of us are in top administration, so we're looking at budgets and we're looking at how much we need to to appropriate for certain aspects. There's pressure in many aspects. So how do we go about navigating this context of difficult this difficult context for Catholic schools in terms of quality?
Father,
Dr. Dennis, yes.
um, speaking as the dean of the graduate school, I think we need to prioritize the most important things that we have to do for now. Like, for example, when CMO 2015 came out last December 2019, in which it highlights policies and guidelines for updating of graduate education in the Philippines. We don't have any choice but to upgrade our faculty, our students, as well as our instructional and other activities in the graduate school. Currently, we are preparing for accreditation. Though I subscribe to Dr. Carrillo that quality assurance should not also be expensive, but I believe nakakahiya naman na ang quality, sabihin mo na ang quality ka from the inside, no? Somebody has to tell you that what you are offering is quality education, quality graduate education. That's why I believe Catholic higher educational institution at this time, in which mababa, especially in Catholic school, there is a decline of enrollment, especially for some small schools. I think prioritization of the trusts of the school is important at this time. Perhaps siguro at this time, speaking for human resource management, we have to take care of our faculty by ensuring that they are receiving salary and in terms of delivering the education, the quality education that we vouch to give to our students, thus providing them training in technology and in all other things that they need. Kasi wala kang choice. You have to adapt to the situation. Kasi kung ano lang muna yung magagawa, yun ang gagawin. Because the Catholic school operates in terms of the financial resources they have. So kung mababa yung enrollment, maliit din yung resources. That's why prioritization of needs, activities at this time is important without compromising that quality that we work before the pandemic. Kasi mahirap pag naputol yung process, mahirap balik-balikan, mahirap i-restart yung mindset. Kanina I was enjoying listening to my co-panelists saying that it all begins in the mind. So mahirap pag naputol yung process of instilling quality, kasi walang pera. Dapat kahit walang pera, kung anong magagawa at this time with the meager resources, especially of small Catholic school, we need to continue ensuring quality education or quality culture of quality in Catholic school. That's my take, Father.
Thank you very much. Let me ask a quick question on the radical transformation that your institutions underwent. We have just a few minutes left. So maybe cite, if any, cite one radical transformation your institution underwent, and why was this critical or important in terms of quality culture? A radical transformation that your institution underwent to build or in the pursuit of quality culture. So anyone, si Dr. Clarita, ang bilis.
Yes, Mother. One radical transformation. So remember, I represent an institution that's 4 centuries old. And that means there are a lot of established systems already in place. There are a lot of things that are already done by tradition, right? And it's so easy to find an excuse by saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
So don't rock the boat. So a radical transformation, I think, that we underwent is our openness to external validation. Okay? The openness, because this is peer validation. It's like, okay, we know that we offer quality, we know that we commit to quality, but let's validate that and allow our peers or people from outside to tell us whether what we think we're doing is exactly what we intend to do. So it's like now for us being able to apply the Johari window as an institution. And that helped a lot because we were able to see other aspects that probably before we did not realize, but with the help of outsiders, we were able to see about ourselves.
Thank you very much. Anyone? Dr. Joanne?
The notable change in the university is the adoption of the risk management technique because it helped us in developing the business continuity plan last year during the shift from the face-to-face modality to the online modality. It allows the university to craft the business continuity plan and the learning continuity plan a little bit not difficult since we were already trained on how to go about the analysis of the risk vis-a-vis the processes, strategies, and activities that is actually done in the organization. The transformation assisted the university in sustaining and maintaining the quality culture. The understanding with the members regarding the desired changes, especially last year, impacted the performance and improved chances of success, and that is offering quality transformative Indonesian Marian education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to share?
Father?
Yes, Dr. Armada, Dr. Galo.
As I have stated earlier, the greatest investment that our school have in terms of quality culture is investment on human resources. And I think the radical step that we have done when the pandemic came is to retool and to upskill our personnel, both teaching and non-teaching, on some areas, on some topics that probably were foreign to them or they were not familiar with before the pandemic. We're doing this to prepare them to become more effective and become more efficient teachers, administrators, because of the new normal. One example is training them to be familiar with data management, how to manage data, and how to use that data in terms of providing interventions. And I think that is a radical, for some of our teachers, that is a radical step, that is a radical move for them to become more effective and efficient in our setup of the new normal in the educational system.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Dr. Arlie?
First, I'm not sure if this is not really a radical transformation, but this is more of a practice, at least in the university where I belong. First is that we have this lifestyle of mindfulness, like the management and the officers lead by example to create a culture that is really mindful in planning, budgeting, and the implementation of programs. So financial mindfulness is really very important to avoid irresponsible spending. So when we do our planning, we always assess how we hit our targets for the year, and we try to find a way to sustain our gains and then put this as our benchmark to take another plans for the next school year. One thing that we do for this pandemic is the way we change our planning, because we used to be anchoring our plans on a 5-year development plan. But because of this VUCA world where we are in, we try to shift it to yearly transition plan. So we are more anchored. We can fully grasp what's on the ground, because we see in this pandemic a lot of from time to time, it changes, from 15 days, another 15 days. So this is one radical change that we did, the way we plan things for this new normal. Another thing is, I think, the creation of a curriculum and instruction committee. This was created just last year. This is composed of just faculty monitors. They are not supervisors, but they are faculty monitors, and they help out the program deans. They visit the learning management system. They actually look at the lessons of their fellow teachers in a particular program, so that in a way, QA, para tingnan kung talagang nasusunod yung aming instructional design, looking at quality of content that is uploaded, frequency of uploading, number of assessments, aligning of outcomes, assessments, and activities. So the monitors, or the results that are given by the monitors, inform the dean of the program of the kind of supervision that the faculty would further need, and the needs to be trained. No, I mean, those that we still need to do some improvement. We give it to the pool of trainers, so that they can retrofit the training and skilling activities that will be given to the faculty. So at least we are doing our part, step by step, one step at a time, to really pursue quality despite the challenge that we are in. Thank you.
Dr. Dennis would like to add something.
Yes, Father. Relative also to what Dr. Istunilo was saying, our university also, together with other Recollect schools in the Philippines, invested also in helping our human resource become more resilient in this time of pandemic. Along with it, on the spiritual aspect, the Augustine Recollect schools in the Philippines launched the Augustine Recollect Integral Formation, in which we emphasize the spiritual and religious formation of our school personnel wherever they are, in the Philippines, because we have actually six Recollect big schools in the Philippines. And also along with it, the technological and instructional competence of our teachers, especially in this time of pandemic, in which we shifted from face-to-face to online education. We also provided that to our faculty. And this year, we have renewed our commitment to external quality assurance. Our university has actually started opening ourselves to ISO and internationalization process, because we hope that sooner also we will be able to get back our autonomous status as a university. And on my end, as the dean of the graduate school, for the first time for more than 50 years, this is really a radical transformation, because for the first time, the graduate school will be subjecting itself to accreditation this year. That's all, Father.
So thank you very much. We have around 7 minutes left. Time just flew by that quickly. When speaking of quality, let's maybe have as a wrap up, just very very super short comments, like one sentence last comments, 1 or 2 sentences last comments from you, the panelists, before we wrap up. So let's do it by the order we started. Also, Dr. Clarita, 1 or 2 sentences.
Yes, I think I just want to go back to your earlier question, Father. How do we navigate, especially now that it's the time we're under a pandemic, and at the same time, we still want to pursue quality. I think it's all now a balancing act on the part of many schools. And I think it's also a period in our school life or academic life where we really need to know what matters.
Thank you very much. No? What matters most? Okay. So, uh, so next we have,
Dr. Garpo.
yeah, Dr. Gallo, Dr.
Yeah.
Amanda.
Yeah. Following the thinking of Dr. Clarita, how do we navigate our schools now that we are in this situation? Definitely, quality culture should not be sacrificed. And I think, despite of all the challenges, and despite of all the difficulties that we have encountered because of this pandemic and how it affected our schools, our learners, our teachers, I think this is also an opportunity for us to transform those challenges into opportunities. It will give us more benefit, in my opinion, than burdens. And I think that is how we are experiencing it right now here in our school. We look at the situation more of an opportunity than a challenge. That's it, Father.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gallo. Dr. Dennis.
Yeah, for me, quality assurance is really vital, no, for Catholic school to really claim that we are on the right track in fulfilling, no, the mandate of Catholic school, that is not to provide quality Catholic education for human and social transformation. But I think this needs external validation, because what we claim quality may not be quality for the outside. So to balance, we need to ensure that the internal and the external qualification of our quality of culture must be instilled despite the big no challenges that we face, whether you are a big or small schools.
Thank
you,
you
Father.
very much, Dr. Arlene.
Learning from my fellow panelists this afternoon, for me, I would like to conclude that advancing quality culture among Catholic schools will clarify our identity and mission as higher education of learning, not only to prepare our students for work, but also forming graduates with distinct character, formed from an enriched curriculum with values inspired from the gospel. Pursuing quality culture is also an opportunity for us to help out small schools in the margin, because after all, for me, Catholic education is helping each other in a learning community. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our panelists, no? Dr. Cavillo, Dr. Estonilio, Dr. Floreta, Dr. Madrigal, and Dr. Solomon. It was a very rich discussion. I learned a lot from your insights, no? So let's give a round of applause for our amazing resource persons. So thank you as well to everyone who commented on the discussion. No, your appreciation and your insights also are very interesting. No, much has been talked within the span of 2 hours. Talked about within the span of 2 hours, and I hope that we will all take some time to reflect and write down our thoughts from this day's discussion. After all, if we do not promote a culture of quality in our institutions, it would really put into question our existence as Catholic educational institutions. No? We would also like to thank Rocksock for our web host for helping us with the smooth organizing of this webinar. Just a reminder, to get our certificate for the whole Congress, submit an evaluation form for one session for each day and a general evaluation form at the end of the conference, which will be posted after the closing mass. The evaluation forms are available at the end of each learning session and will be up until 7 p.m. of the same day. The evaluation link will be posted in the comment section of the video, both on YouTube and Facebook. And you can also find it at the program section of the CEAP Congress Virtual Hall at congress.ceap.org.ph. So, on behalf of the CEAP President, Sister Marisa Viri, RVM, and the CEAP Board of Trustees, this is Father John Young saying thank you, a good afternoon, and now I will give you a final blessing. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Keep safe, everyone, and see you tomorrow.
Morning.
Sa umpisa lang yan.
Pasensya na po, ma'am. Nakakahiya po.
Muna. Ganyan din ako noon.
Okay, Ramon, your turn to answer.
Yung nanay ko naman, teacher. Ang tingin ko sa kanya noon, siya yung pinakamatalinong tao sa buong mundo.
Ay, ma'am, ganyan na ganyan po ang tingin ko sa inyo.
Pero tama yung ginagawa mo. Always ask help from your colleagues and coordinators. And of course, by using the Teacher's Wraparound Edition, mas mapapadali ang pagtuturo.
Sana magiging kasing kalmado nyo rin po ako.
Without a doubt.